How often people call it intuition when it's really an old wound speaking up first. Because sometimes what feels like a gut feeling is really fear trying to protect us the only way it knows how. Caribbean coded, rewriting the old coding that shaped me. Welcome in, my love. You're listening to Caribbean Coded. Today's episode is it intuition or old trauma talking? And I'm bringing you this because it's fresh and real. And I know I'm not the only human being whose nervous system can turn one small moment into a whole movie. So I'm going to walk you through what happened, the feeling in my chest, and what my old coding immediately tried to convince me of, and what I did instead so I didn't end up cutting someone off over a story I wrote all over my head. So let me start with the moment my old coding got triggered. I just had gotten back home to Jersey with my kids after spending the holidays in PA. We were staying with someone I've been getting close to, and along with your family. The days themselves felt full and communal. You know, that kind of environment where you're surrounded by people and not carrying everything alone. So by the end of the trip, my body started telling me a different story. The cold weather mixed with a freezing hotel room finally caught up to us. The kind of cold where even blankets don't help, where it feels like the air itself is biting. So by the last night, both my youngest and I were coughing and feeling a little achy. We were not in crisis, but we were feeling that fluish state where your body is clearly heading somewhere. So Christmas morning around 7 a.m., I woke up and I just knew it. I could feel a fever starting. You know, that heavy overheating feeling that tells you your system is about to crash. That feeling didn't give me much room to debate. I knew what my body was heading towards, and I also knew what the day required of me. I was the one driving, and it was about a 3-hour drive back home where we were. I was not about to play with my kids' safety. So I took medicine, got my kids up quietly, and we left early. Before I pulled out, I sent a message saying thank you for everything, for inviting me and my girls to a beautiful time together, and letting them know that I wasn't feeling well and was heading out early. About an hour or so later, they reacted to the message. Then once I made it home a few hours, I texted again, letting them know we made it safe and asking them to do the same to please let us know when they got home safe. The reply I got was short and simple. Something along the lines of, I'm glad you made it safe. We're on the way. We're almost home too. That's it. That was the message. And okay, I know how this sounds, because if you're listening like a calm, regulated human being, you're probably thinking, Juju, that's a normal text. And I could agree with you, but my body did not react like it was a tinsy-wincy text. The second I read it, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. Not tightness or anxiety, a sting. Like something hit one exact spot, like all of a sudden and very precise. You know, it was quick and strong. It was a sting, and then it was like a burn. Then the heat followed, you know, a rush through my body, like my whole system had just been flicked on at once. And I wasn't in a panic attack, and I wasn't anxiety taking over yet. My mind wasn't racing at all. Well, it was, but not that much. So what made it easy to push aside in that moment was that I was already sick and distracted. I just had gotten home. I had the kids to settle, a dog to love to and handle, bags to pretend to bring in, soup to warm up. So I didn't spiral right then, but I slightly moved on. But the feeling didn't disappear. I felt it, and I hated that I felt because nothing had actually happened. And if I'm being honest, the first thought that popped in my head when I saw the text was, they're done with you. And right behind it came that old familiar follow-up. You were too much. That's it. Like, they finally saw your true colors. You took up too much space. They had enough of you over the holidays, and now it's over. All of that came from one tiny text. And nobody said those words to me. Nobody implied them. Nobody wrote anything close or remote to that. That was my system doing what it learned to do. So the next day, after, waking up and feeling a bit better, I did what I had been doing for months with this friendship. I checked in. And I want to take a pause and be honest about why that had become a routine. I started checking in daily, like daily Sundays daily. Because it was my old coding's way of keeping tabs on the connection. If there was a response from them, if there was any kind of acknowledgement, my system relaxed. It meant I was still in, still wanted, still cool and liked. But underneath that, though, was the familiar fear that if communication stopped for a few days, that was it. That the connection had quietly run its course, and I just hadn't caught up to it yet. So when the response came in, it wasn't anything cold or unkind. It was actually normal. It mentioned being tired after a rough night and worrying about a child whose cough had gotten worse and thinking of maybe even needing urgent care. What mattered wasn't the message itself. It was how my brain started lining moments up like the runway lines of a landing strip. Because my nervous system was already activated from that first message, that first thing. So the second message, it hit harder. It was like my brain went, you see? Twice. Even though the message was literally about being tired and worried about your child. Now, that part I want to say clearly because I'm not here to paint anyone as a villain, right? They didn't do anything wrong. This was me reading between lines that were not even there and calling it intuition like I'm some psychic detective who can decode people's off punctuation. And I say punctuation because here's another real detail. My friend texts fast, real, and straight to the point. No overthinking, no editing like a novel, like I do. The meaning is always there, but my nervous system will still pause and go, wait, are we good? Are they annoyed with me? Am I adding spice that wasn't in the pot? So I reread it, the message, again and again and again. So let me tell you where the shift really happened for me. A few days after, I was scrolling social media, being nosy like, the rest of the world. And the algorithm did its thing. I saw a holiday video, one of those posts that says, send this to the person who shows up for you this season, something along those lines. It talked about the people who made you feel seen, who brought light during the holidays, not with actual gifts, but with your presence. And because Christmas just had passed, it pulled me right back into what I just lived. I started remembering actual facts, music, not the feelings, facts. I started replaying moments from the holiday trip, the music, the people, the environment, how the family treated me, how they treated my girls, how nobody gave me side eye, how nobody acted like I was a burden, how in the energy, it felt so real. And I remember my friend at certain points being stressed, but it wasn't about me or towards me. It was family stuff, that holiday tension, the kind of mess a lot of us families have. And that's when the question finally came up. Where does the text actually say what I'm claiming it says? Because my brain was writing a whole Netflix season off of one short reply. So this time, I reread the message again. But I wasn't hunting for proof that I'm unlovable. I was looking for what actually was there. And what I saw was this. The message wasn't cold. It wasn't rejection. It wasn't a shutdown. It was someone who was tired, getting home after a long stretch, carrying their own things. That was the reality, not the story my fear was trying to write. So I needed a reality check in that moment because I needed to know I needed to know I wasn't losing it. I needed some kind of confirmation that what I was feeling wasn't strange or wrong, that I wasn't reading something completely sideways. I couldn't just call someone up and talk it through right then. My friends are very limited. So I laid everything out to an AI support tool. Everybody does it. I laid out the facts. I laid out the feelings. And I basically said, tell me if I'm tripping. What came back wasn't dismissal or judgment. It reflected growth. It pointed out that I slowed down. I looked at the evidence and I didn't let fear take over the whole moment. So a few days later, I saw my actual therapist and I brought her the same facts. She responded with similar insights. So no, I wasn't wrong for feeling the sting, but I was wrong for treating that feeling like proof. Now, days has passed and I saw my friend in person. We were outside on the porch smoking. I weed, they cigarettes, and the conversation came up in the most natural way because I'm always cracking jokes. So I said something like, oh, you miss me now? And they laughed and they were like, of course. So I replied with, I'm trying to let you miss me. And because of that broke the tension in me. And I felt like I was able to speak up about that, about my truth. So I went ahead and told them that, please don't take this the wrong way. You didn't do nothing wrong. But the other day I was spiraling off a text thinking that you were done with me. Reason why I'm joking about it now. They kind of laughed, not at me, more like surprised, like, wait, what, really? What did I even say? So I pulled up the message and showed them because even I could see how wild it sounded. We looked at it together and it was clear there was nothing there. That's when I explained, this is my old coding flaring up. In the past, I would have pulled back automatically. So if you ever notice me getting quiet, I'm not trying to be mean. Sometimes I'm just fighting my own story. And they understood. They reassured me. They said that they generally enjoy my company and the conversations we have. And I believe them. Not because I force myself to, but because the evidence actually matched. Now, here's the part I really want to say. This situation wasn't just about a short text. It showed me something bigger about how my fear still tries to stay in charge. Not in loud ways, in subtle ones that look responsible, caring, even thoughtful on the surface. What I saw was this. I've learned to confuse consistency with security. I learned to believe that if I stay visible enough, present enough, reachable enough, I can prevent being left. And that if I keep the connection warm, nothing can quietly slip away. But that isn't love. It's management. It's fear trying to stay ahead of loss. And once I saw that clearly, I couldn't unsee it. I had to face that in myself without shaming of it. Because I've done this before. Not just with this friend. With people in general. I've overgiven. I've overexplained. I've overextended myself. I've been so available that I became background noise. And I don't want to be background noise in anybody's life again. Not because I need to be obsessed over, but because I want reciprocity. I want to feel chosen too. I want to be checked on too. And I have to admit something else. Sometimes I still confuse closeness with constant access. When I can reach someone easily and often, my body relaxes. When I can't, my old coding starts filling in the gaps. Not every time, but enough for me to notice it. And I don't want that pattern running my relationships anymore. So I'm learning a boundary that isn't about limiting anyone else. It's about regulating myself. I'm learning to step back without disappearing, to stay connected without overextending, to let relationships breathe instead of trying to hold them steady through effort alone. And I notice that when something starts to feel tender, I reach for humor almost automatically. Like my mac and cheese jokes. I've literally joked with them, and am I your mac and cheese friend? Or is it, am I just your mac and cheese friend? That's the one. And they'll laugh and say, yeah, because you make really good mac and cheese. Which is not a lie, I do. And it is funny though, it is. And what matters here is this. They make good as mac and cheese too. Their mac and cheese is really good. And this isn't about a skill or competition. I love cooking. Feeding people has always been one of the ways I show care. And that part of me isn't the issue. But that joke still brushes up against something older in me. It brings up two familiar fears. One is the fear that if I'm not useful, I'm not wanted. And the other is the fear that I'm only wanted for what I provide. And once that need is met, I'll be dropped like a trial subscription. So those fears didn't come from this relationship. They came from past experiences where closeness was conditional and uselessness was the price of staying connected. So when something harmless lines up with that old pattern, my body reacts. Not because it's true, but because it's familiar. And that's the difference now. I can notice the trigger without turning it into a story. I don't confuse it for intuition. I recognize it for what it is. An old survival belief trying to keep me alert. Now, to understand why my body reacts that way, you have to understand the environment I grew up in. Growing up in my house, everything felt intense. Small things carry big consequences. My body learned that very early. It learned that tone shift mattered, that silence mattered, that paying attention wasn't an option. People yelled, people snapped. Things change without warning. So I learned to scan constantly. Not scan in an observant way, which I do, but to scan in a survival way. Scan like if I miss the shift, I'm going to pay for it and it's going to bite me in the butt. So I grew up in a place where even existing normally could become a problem. Like being a normal human being. You couldn't burp, and you better as hell not fart. You couldn't make noise or even breathe wrong. And my loves, I'm not exaggerating. There were moments where the entire household had to stay silent because an adult was in the bathroom constipated, and any sound would supposedly mess up your process. That's the kind of nervous system that gets built in an environment like that. One that learns any disruption can turn into punishment. So now, as an adult, when I get a short message, my body doesn't calmly think, oh, they're tired. My body reacts like something shifted, like something's about to happen. And that's why I'm careful now when I talk about intuition. Because sometimes what we, the people, call intuition, it's really a trauma-trained alarm system. It's not trying to ruin my life. It's trying to keep me from being blindsided. But that doesn't mean it's always right. So here's the win I'm not brushing past. This just happened holiday fresh. Like fresh. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't let that "they're done with you" story drive the whole moment. The sting still hit. The trigger hit. The heat was felt all over the body. It showed up. My mind tried to connect the dots like a game that weren't really there. But instead of running with it, I slowed down enough to actually look at what was in front of me. I sat with the facts and I let the moment breathe. I didn't accuse no one or run with it or run away. I didn't turn a tired message into a whole betrayal storyline. Trust me, I've done that. I noticed the fear without letting it decide what happened next. And that's new for me. It's different. I've lost real connections before by reacting the second fear showed up. I always had a reason that made sense at the time. A story that sounded protective. But looking back, it was fear making the call. But this time, I didn't let it run up my phone bill. I've respected my own boundaries, and I refuse to make someone the villain in a script my fear was trying to write. And I am so proud of that. Not in some inspirational look at me way. More like, I handled it better than I used to, and I'm not going to act like that's nothing. So, this is me right now. Juju, still human, still feeling things deeply. I'm not asking myself to do it perfectly. And I'm not expecting old fears, old codings, and old habits to disappear overnight. What I am doing is staying with myself when it shows up, not judging or romanticizing it, just noticing it and choosing what to do next. That's the part I'm practicing. The part that matters right now. That's where I am. So before I wrap this up, I want to share a question I asked myself in that moment, and one I've been coming back to lately when, that gut feeling hits. I pause and I ask, is this intuition, or is this an old alarm reacting to something familiar? When I ask myself that, I remember where my body learned its language. I remember that it was trained to read small shifts as danger. That doesn't make me broken. It means I adapted. And sometimes the real shift isn't responding perfectly. It's catching myself before I turn a single moment into a story that costs me connection. So thank you for sitting with me today. Be gentle with what rises after this. Your body holds its own memory. Trust it. Until next time, this is Caribbean Coded, where we recode the stories I once survived into truths I can finally live in.